Good morning. Hopefully you can see and hear me and everything is working okay. Rachel here from Nutrition and in Bloom, and welcome to our 4-day challenge. I am so excited about this week and happy to be here. Hopefully technology will be on our side all week, but I am here for you and here to support you, and guide you and coach you. So, I am hoping that this is streaming live. And if you're watching, please say hello. I want to make sure everything is working here. I know some of you may be watching this live on Facebook. Some of you may be catching the replay on Facebook. Some of you may be watching this through YouTube, pre recorded. And however you're watching it is totally fine. I made multiple ways so that you could watch it however you want. And I am available in multiple ways as well: Facebook, email, whatever. Hi, Angelica. Um, okay, good. So I'm seeing the comments. Awesome. So, welcome. I am excited to be doing this week, and I'm excited to help all of you just feel really good, confident when it comes to feeding your children. So, real quick, I just want to kind of go over how each day will work. Each day I will be doing a live video on Facebook. And again, if you're not on Facebook, that video will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube, and this will be sent out via emails. So each day you will get an email from me in the morning with the information that we'll be talking about that day, the step to have more happiness at mealtime, so to speak. And then you'll also get a recap. You'll either get another email from me in the afternoon or the recap in the next day's email. So let's see, what else did I want to say? Oh, I am having a giveaway at the end of this week. So if you interact with me each day of the challenge, whether that be in the Facebook Live, via email, just sending me a response to the email, in the Facebook thread, any interaction with me, and if you do that all 4 days, you will be entered into my food exploration giveaway, book giveaway, where I'm going to be including 5 of my favorite resources. Um, Hopefully you can all still hear me okay. They're doing some construction outside of my office, which of course this happens right now. So if you are having any trouble hearing me, just let me know if you are here live. So, okay, let's begin. So I want to talk about day one, which our topic today is to let go of your feeding agenda. And if you saw the video that I posted yesterday, I talked about our relationship with food. And if you didn't watch that, I highly recommend you go check that out. But I talked about, okay, thank you. And Angelica mentioned that I sound okay. Thank you. Um, I talked about how we all have this relationship with food, and it's really interesting, right? It's like food is something that is there to nourish us, to sustain us, to keep us alive. Yet we have this sometimes complicated, so to speak, relationship with food, or just this relationship that evokes emotions and feelings and thoughts. And that's okay. And that's totally, totally normal. So I want to mention that because as we move into this feeding agenda piece, a lot of times what we bring to the table, so to speak, affects our our kids and our little ones. So so I want you to think about, and what I like to think about when I'm working with families is how can we help children develop a healthy relationship with food? And what I mean by that is how can we help them make food be positive and have a great relationship with food and their body, and really just have things be positive when it comes to eating. And we do this in many different ways, and of course I'm here to kind of guide you through that and to help you through that this week and beyond. But that's the goal and that's the bottom line. I find that sometimes we can, and this is true for feeding and other things as well, we can get so focused on like the right here and now, meaning like my child needs to finish their broccoli, right? Because they're not going to meet their vitamin needs if they don't eat it, or they must eat 3 bites of this chicken, otherwise they're not going to meet their protein needs, and then what's going to happen? However, when we do that, we kind of lose out on that long-term goal of wanting food to be positive. And how we begin by doing that is by letting go of our feeding agenda. So we have this agenda when it comes to the table, right? We want them to eat a certain amount. We might be putting pressure on them. And what happens? What usually happens? What I will say is like, there's this like butting of heads, right? Like, mom or dad wants me to do this. I don't want to try it. It doesn't lead to happiness for anybody. I imagine if you're here and watching this, this may have happened for you. Um, I will say, how many times have you asked your child to try something and you know that they have decided they don't like that food before they have even tried it? Because you want them to, you have your feeding agenda. So that feeding agenda is what we want to happen at meal times. And what we need to do as parents is to let go of that feeding agenda. And now you might be watching this and saying, like, Rachel, if I let go of that feeding agenda, my child's not going to grow properly. They're not going to meet their needs. They're not getting enough protein. They're eating too much sugar. They're, whatever you might have a thought. So I want to I want to kind of talk about the why behind that and dive a little bit deeper into that. So there is a pediatric dietitian. Her name, okay, yes. So you guys are agreeing with me that when you ask your child to try something, they have decided that they don't like it, or that that it doesn't go well. So that's why we have to do this piece. And um, so the dietitian Ellen Satter, she's also a family therapist. She talks about the division of responsibility. So she says that parents are responsible for the what, when, and where of feeding, and children are responsible for the how much and whether of eating. So what that means is that as parents, we are deciding what's on the menu, what we're serving, having a time, a place, but we're letting our kids decide how much they're going to eat and if they're going to eat that food or not. This may feel totally scary and totally foreign, or it may not, and that's okay too. Um, but this is based on trust. And if we can start to cultivate a trusting relationship with food when it comes to feeding our kids, we are helping them to form that positive association with food. And when it comes to this word trust, I think this is a super important word. And you may not fully trust me yet with what I'm saying, and that's okay. But what I invite you to do is kind of think about, you want to make changes, you want to do something different. For this week, can you trust me and can you see what happens? Okay, that's what I want to hear. When you hear that, if you can do that, give me a yes. Give me a thumbs up emoji or something. So I want to tell you a little bit about the why we can let go of our feeding agenda. Number one, short and long-term goals. So when it comes to feeding, we have short-term goals and long-term goals. Short-term goals include a child meeting their nutrition needs, a child growing at a rate that is adequate for them. Okay, those are basically our main goals. And if that is met with a vitamin or mineral supplement or something else like Pediasure or some kind of oral supplement to help them meet their needs, that is completely fine right now. Now, some of you might be watching this and saying, well, I don't know if my child's meeting their needs. I worry about their protein intake. How do I know if they're meeting them? Message me, comment here. Let's chat and we can dive deeper because that is absolutely what I help families do. I want to make sure you feel confident in that piece. So, they might not be eating any vegetables, but they might be eating fruit and taking a vitamin and mineral supplement and meeting their needs. And that is absolutely okay. Okay, that is okay. And that is short term, that is okay. Now, I'm not going to dive too much into it during this challenge, but also just growing at a rate that is right for them. Um, if you're not sure about how your child's growing, again, let's chat one on one because I want to help you feel confident in how they are growing as well. Okay. Okay. So, those are short term, and then long term goals. Long term is more about wanting them to try new foods. And what happens is when we can focus more on when we feel confident in the short term, and then we can start focusing more on the long term goals of expanding their variety, getting them to try new foods, that's where the magic happens. And it's not going to happen overnight. It absolutely takes patience, but the benefit of that and the benefit of what I am hoping to help you accomplish is that we want them to actually like the food. So, if they're, let's say broccoli, I always use broccoli as my example, but let's say broccoli, you have broccoli on the menu is what you're serving. It's for dinner. What's going to be more impactful if you say, okay, if you can eat 3 bites of broccoli, I'll give you a cookie with dessert? Or is it going to be more impactful where they learn to like the broccoli so that you set them up to eat the broccoli as they get older? And again, you might be thinking, my child will never eat the broccoli unless I tell them they have to, or I pressure them, or I trick them. I promise you it's possible. Remember, like trust. Okay, I promise you it's possible, and that's what I do. This is how I got what I do and help families. So I want you to think about that, and we'll talk later in the week about what that actually looks like. But I just want you to think about why that's important. Okay. Angie says, yes, broccoli is my son's easiest vegetable. Okay, so that is great. I love that. So, you know, think about some other vegetables and think about some other things. And I also want you to think about, if your child does love a certain vegetable or love a certain food, how did they get to like that food? Did they, continue to try it? Did they have multiple exposures of that food? That's something to absolutely think about. So, Angie, that's awesome that your son eats vegetables. So now you're going to start thinking about in the long term some of these other things. I know you said forget anything else right now, but those are going to be your long term things to think about. Okay. Jessica says, I need to get better at that. Yeah, it's I will say it is much easier said than done, right? And that's why I am here to guide you and why my support will continue after this challenge as well. And I'll share with you more ways to work with me. Um, but it's a mindset shift. It's like it's in our minds, and that's how I help guide and coach families. So, I don't want you to think that I don't want you to think that this is like you go do this and that's the end of it, but I just want you to start thinking about this and start to think, okay, how can I start to think about that trust at meal times? Okay? So you don't have to even do anything more than just starting to think about. Angelica, my son doesn't eat any fruits or veggies at all, and that's okay right now. Like that is I want you to remember we are all starting from our starting point and we are moving forward from here. So, if you can, um, message me and we can make sure that your son is meeting his needs. We can figure out a way to do that. And then we go from here. And then we figure out, okay, even though he's not eating the fruits and vegetables right now, how can we start to expand what he's eating? And that's, again, I am here. So, I want you as much as you can to trust and to take any. if you can, those negative feelings out of it, because we are going to start coming up with a plan to make meal times happier for everybody. Okay. So next, like besides these short and long-term goals, I just want you to remember that feeding is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not something that takes place, that and it's also it's never we work on it over time. So it is about the long term. When I work with families, I usually have them fill out a food record. I have them keep track of their child's intake for a few days, and I never just have them do 1 day. I usually have them do 3 days, sometimes even 7 days, which I know can be kind of annoying and a lot. But the reason behind that is when we're looking at their nutrition, 1 day of nutrition never makes or breaks a child's nutrition status. Even 3 days doesn't, okay? Even a week doesn't. It's the long term. And that's what I want you to remember is that it's a long-term goal. So wherever your child is right now, that's where you're beginning. That is where you're starting from. Whether they do eat fruits and vegetables or they don't eat fruits and vegetables, you are you have your starting place, and that's where we're going to move forward. And today, I know I just shared a ton of information with you, and I share that to just give you some background to kind of plant some seeds in your head. But what I want you to do today at your next mealtime is to trust, is to let go of your feeding agenda. I'm not saying you have to do this forever. I'm not saying you even have to do it more than one meal, but I want you to just see what happens when you let it go. Now, this doesn't mean this is a free for all and your child gets to go raid the cabinets, eat whatever they want. Remember, you're still providing the food, but I want you to see what happens. And I want to make sure, the food that you're providing, there's at least something there that you know that they like or have eaten in the past, whether that's bread or rice or fruit or whatever that is. But I want to see when you can just let it go, just for one mealtime, okay? Again, not forever, one mealtime. I want you to see what happens. I want you to see if you can relax a little bit, what your child does and how it goes. Now, I'm not saying they're gonna like try the new food that you're offering or they're gonna like be so excited to like eat, a wide variety from one mealtime. No, that's not what I'm saying. But if you can let go of your agenda, I want you to see how your child responds. Okay. So that is where we begin today. Thank you all that are watching this. And again, if you're watching the replay, please comment. And I am personally responding to everybody during this week. So that is step one. Remember, we don't have it all figured out after today. I mean, even after this week, we're getting you on the path. It is a process. So today we're letting go of the feeding agenda. I explained to you kind of the why behind that. Try it and then let me know how it goes. Please share with me. So, okay, deep breaths. So, for the rest of this week, I will be doing lives every morning at 9 a.m. You can join live, catch the replay, or you'll watch the replay on YouTube. You will get my emails. And if you haven't signed up, but you're watching this, you can actually sign up any day of the challenge this week. And at the end, you'll get a recap. So, and if you are signed up and let's say you miss a day or, you feel behind, you'll get a recap at the end of the week. So this challenge is meant to be fun, enjoyable. So don't worry. Okay. And again, if you comment or interact in one way on all 4 days of the challenge, you will be entered to win my food exploration giveaway book bundle, which is going to be 5 of my favorite um, activities for kids when it comes to feeding. Thank you all so much for joining and comment with questions, post any questions you have and reply to my emails, any questions, and I will make sure to either comment with your questions, respond to your emails, or answer the questions in the videos that I do. Okay, this has been really fun. And I look forward to spending the rest of the week with all of you. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a great rest of your day.